Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a really specific bit of audio. It's an excerpt from Sarah Silverman, Anti-Trump Meltdown.mp3 by Mark Dice.
Right. And our goal today is really to unpack how this kind of, well, highly charged political commentary gets delivered and also reacted to just within this one source.
Exactly. And just a crucial note for you listening, we're presenting the content and the perspectives from this specific material, okay? We aren't endorsing any of these viewpoints ourselves.
No, not at all. Think of us more as guides, just exploring the communication itself, what's actually being said in the source and, how it's framed.
Okay, let's unpack this.
It's definitely quite a revealing piece in terms of political rhetoric today.
Absolutely. So right away, the source focuses on Sarah Silverman and some very direct calls to action attributed to her. What does it actually say, she said?
Well, the specific quote highlighted in the source is pretty stark. It's, "Wake up and join the resistance. Once the military's with us, fascists get overthrown. Mad King and his handlers go bye-bye."
Wow. Okay, so a direct appeal for overthrow. And the source links this stowed away to Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, it connects it to O'Donnell's previous calls for military intervention or martial law. So it's positioning Silverman's statement within that existing context.
And Mark Dice, the source creator, he has a strong reaction just to the term the resistance, doesn't he?
He does. He mentions his own YouTube channel from 2006 was called The Resistance. And he expresses, real frustration that liberals are now using it, as he sees it, as a hashtag against Trump.
So what's really going on there with the language? It feels like more than just a word.
Oh, definitely. It's almost like semantic warfare. Dice's reaction kind of highlights how political terms become these contested spaces. They get redefined, sometimes weaponized.
You kind of perceive theft of a narrative.
Exactly. It shows language isn't just static. It's actively used to frame things, to try and control perception. It's quite fascinating, actually.
And the source includes other provocative statements attributed to Silverman moving into religious commentary.
Yes, there's another quote presented. "I hope the Jews did kill Christ. I'd do it again in a second. If I hear is Birkenstocks clacking this way."
Okay. And how does the source frame that?
Well, it immediately labels it Jesus phobia, which is, a very loaded term itself, designed to cast the statement as irrational, prejudiced.
And it mentions the audience reaction too.
Right. It notes the audience applauded, which kind of brings up this interesting point about how controversial statements can sometimes work to solidify a group's identity, maybe reinforcing biases instead of challenging them.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes you wonder, what does that audience affirmation really signal in that communication loop?
It's a key question.
Yeah.
The source commentary doesn't stop with Silverman, though. It brings in Whoopi Goldberg next.
Right, and the comparison attributed to her is, well, it's pretty intense.
It is. The quote from Goldberg in the source asks, "We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women, wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up. Are these values really much different than the Taliban's?"
Comparing Trump's stated positions or rhetoric to the Taliban. That's strong. How does Dice respond in the source?
His counter is immediate and equally charged. He specifically brings up Planned Parenthood, calls them baby-murdering madmen, and expresses frustration at, quote, equating what 50% of Americans believe and want done as being something that the Taliban would do.
So it's not just disagreement, it's a complete reframing, shifting from her critique to a totally different, highly charged issue.
Precisely. It's a common rhetorical tactic, isn't it? Deflect, delegitimize the opponent's point, rally your own side. It shows how these arguments can escalate so quickly.
Definitely. That direct comparison from Goldberg and then Dice's immediate, counterattack, it really shows how entrenched these verbal battles are. So stepping back, what does Dice ultimately claim are the real-world consequences of all this?
He concludes in the source that this kind of hateful rhetoric from anti-American globalists and, his words, scumbag celebrities is, quote, fanning the flames of the mentally unstable lunatics that keep hitting the streets and attacking Donald Trump supporters and conservative speakers on college campuses.
Wow. Using terms like anti-American globalists, scumbag celebrities. Those are pretty loaded labels themselves.
They absolutely are. They function almost like ideological dog whistles for certain audiences. Globalist carries specific connotations, and attacking celebrities aims to dismiss their credibility entirely.
And he doesn't stop there, right? He escalates it even further.
Yeah, he says if it weren't, inspiring violence, maybe it would just be funny. But now it's beyond dangerous, even treasonous. He calls the people expressing these views Enemies of America, enemies of the Constitution, enemies of humanity.
That's quite the escalation, calling political opponents enemies of humanity.
It really underscores the perceived real-world stakes attributed to these verbal conflicts. It moves way beyond disagreement into claims of actively causing violence, a very powerful narrative in polarized times.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've really unpacked the intense, no-holds-barred style of commentary in this source. Stark accusations, direct calls to action, really charged comparisons.
And hopefully it highlights the value of looking closely at how things are said, not just what is said. Analyzing the rhetoric, the loaded language, helps us see how viewpoints get framed and who the intended audience might be.
So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. In an age with so much intense, polarizing language flying around, how do you critically evaluate the actual intent behind the words people use? And what about the impact they're trying to create, especially when things escalate to these really extreme accusations?
It's certainly something worth thinking about long after this deep dive ends.